Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we will be talking about how the 2024 presidential election, in my opinion, from what I've been able to gather, is nothing like the 2016 election. So, on this day on August 7th in 2016, Real Clear Politics had Hillary Clinton on average above in the polls in an aggregate of polls up on Donald Trump by 7% nationwide. Now, in the end, she would end up winning by, I think, 2.4, 2.5%, 2.5% about. So these polls were obviously way off, at least in August, 7%. So, right now, in the Harris versus Trump matchup, of course, right now, a couple days ago, or just yesterday actually, Kamala Harris took the lead. She is now ahead by 0.5%, which is the first time she has taken the lead ever. This is since March, before she, of course, became the presumptive Democratic nominee when Joe Biden dropped out, before she was a candidate at all. This is now the first time that Kamala Harris has led. So, August 7th or August 6th, whatever, she's ahead by 0.5, while Hillary Clinton was ahead by 7% in this time in 2016. So, based off that, if Hillary Clinton ended up losing, then you would think that Kamala Harris would get crushed. But I would really, really beg to differ. So there are, a couple things why this race is really nothing like 2016, and the roles aren't the same. And I think most notably, it is because of the mood of the country. I don't think that people stress enough how in election after election, the polls always overestimate the quote-unquote mood of the country. This mood is, publicized and made the collective mood that we assume people have in the country is largely due to the media. I mean, they, of course, push narratives, and they, of course, push ideas about how Americans think, and if Americans are hearing that the rest of the country feels this way, then they are also more likely to respond that way in a poll. So in 2016, of course, all you heard was that, number one, Hillary was going to win, but also, you only heard that Donald Trump was a maniac, that he didn't have the temperament to become president, and ultimately, all that did in the polls was just severely underestimate Donald Trump, and Donald Trump would go on to win. Now, this time around, it's different. It is different with the Kamala Harris versus Trump matchup, but I mean, especially during the Biden-Trump matchup, but, still, largely now, the mood of the country is this Democratic administration has not been good for the country, and we need a change. That is what Americans assume their fellow Americans are thinking right now. At least that's my interpretation of what's going on. So in 2016, the mood of the country was in Hillary's direction, and that ultimately underestimated Donald Trump. This time around, I believe the mood of the country sort of in Donald Trump's favor, while Kamala Harris can make up some serious ground on those polls. But also, the number one or number two factor here that makes Kamala Harris so different from Hillary Clinton in so many ways is the enthusiasm. I mean, the enthusiasm gap between those two is gigantic, and this, goes with that notion about the mood of the country. Democrats, if all they hear is she's going to win, whatever, and they're personally not that excited about Hillary Clinton, then they will not turn out to vote. But if, they're hearing Donald Trump could win, if it's a very close race, if they see the polls where they're tied nationwide, and they are actually enthusiastic about Kamala Harris, unlike they were about Hillary Clinton, then they are going to turn out for Kamala Harris. We have some numbers about fundraising after Kamala Harris picked Tim Walz as vice president, and, I could have brought up the headline about how she raised $81 million from just small dollar donors in the first 24 hours after after Biden dropped out and she became a candidate. But I did decide to pull up this Walz thing because it's even more impressive. She raised $41 million after she picked Tim Walz to be her running mate, which I think is just so notable. I mean, it's half of what she got when she announced her candidacy after Biden dropped out. But I mean, nobody even knew who Tim Walz was before he was chosen as her running mate. Nobody knew this guy. He has, near zero name recognition, if you exclude Minnesota. I mean, this is a very unknown figure, and he has become loved by the Kamala Harris community so much so that, once they hear him speak, they actually donate to the campaign, and they did so in a tremendous way, gifting the campaign another $41 million. And this enthusiasm gap is so huge. I mean, there were many leaners in the 2016 election who went in pretty undecided, not really liking either, and they came out of the polls reluctantly voting for Donald Trump. I mean, there were many of those types of voters. And many of these people were Democrats. Maybe they were Bernie supporters in the primary or whatever. But the big thing about Kamala Harris is that she has been able to really get the party to rally around her. This goes with the enthusiasm. I mean, just take a look at these pictures. This was the rally size in Philadelphia just yesterday when Tim Walz was announced as VP, their first rally together. I mean, this rally is huge. So huge, in fact, that it trumped Donald Trump's numbers when it comes to the rally size in this same exact venue. Donald Trump held a rally in the same venue, and he had, I think, literally 0 people sitting on these top rows. Kamala Harris managed to get the entire stadium filled up to the brim. Now let's compare this. 4 years ago, here's a picture from a Hillary Clinton general election rally. Clinton Kane, that's how you can tell. It has her VP right there. Yeah, there is a pretty stark contrast between these two photos. And yes, this was in Philadelphia. I don't know where this was, but it's looking like the rally in Wisconsin was just as big today. Wisconsin, a more Republican state than Pennsylvania, slightly. And Michigan. Michigan, she had to move the rally to an airline garage thing, one of those things, because of the crowd was too big to fit in the original venue. So, the rally sizes of a presidential candidate, we never consider them enough. Remember, in 2016, they said, yes, Donald Trump is getting way more bigger rallies than Hillary Clinton, but that doesn't mean anything. Rally sizes don't mean anything. And it ended up meaning something, because Donald Trump did end up winning against Hillary Clinton, and, we said that even in the 2016 Democratic primary. Bernie Sanders' rallies were huge compared to Hillary Clinton's. Now, he didn't end up winning, but he did do so much better than anyone could have expected, and that, should have been indicated in the early rallies. So, this enthusiasm gap is so tremendous, and if Kamala Harris wins the election, it's because of this. Nobody was excited about Hillary Clinton. I mean, she had a hard-fought primary, I guess. It would have been even worse if she just rode to the nomination without a challenge from Bernie Sanders. But, but even in the primary, that disaffected so many of the fellow Democrats who were Bernie supporters. And turnout among Democrats was just so low. While, Donald Trump, he did pretty well, apparently, among Republican voters. He was able to capture his Republican base. But he was able to expand into leaners, registered independents who are more apolitical than political. He was able to win, many of these leaners or undecided voters, in the last days of the campaign, really. And Hillary Clinton could have, gotten ahead of that with a strong Democratic turnout. But she wasn't able to do that. I mean, there were so many indicators that she would not have a strong Democratic turnout. Even it comes down to her VP pick, even. She picked Tim Kaine, a senator from Virginia, a total normie Dem who excited nobody to be a running mate, I guess just to win the state of Virginia. That was her main goal there. but she had to pick a progressive, and she didn't even do that. Now, this time around, Kamala Harris playing it so much smarter. She is picking Tim Walz over Josh Shapiro, who is much more pro-Israel than Tim Walz and most Democrats, who is in favor of charter schools, gave tax cuts to big corporations, just overall very much more centrist than many progressive Democrats would like. So this pick of Walz is hugely important because if she went with Shapiro, very much more centrist, much more closer to someone like Tim Kaine than someone like Bernie Sanders. Meanwhile, Tim Walz is just as lefty, just as progressive, if not more progressive, than Bernie Sanders is. So a clear move to not only unite the party, make sure the progressives are on her side, considering her controversial record as prosecutor, but also what was I going to say? Get the party excited. Unite the party, but also get the party excited, make them, recognize that there is a progressive on the ticket, and someone that they really like when you look at his record. So, through and through, yes, Hillary Clinton was polling some 7 or 6.5 points better this time around in 2016 than right now, right? Than Kamala Harris right now. But does that mean that Kamala Harris will lose? No, I think she wins. This is indicated by so many measures. If Hillary Clinton came pretty close, a couple tens of thousands of votes across the Rust Belt would have won Hillary Clinton the election. And it looks to me like Kamala Harris is expanding on those numbers quite easily. I would be really surprised right now if Kamala Harris does lose the election. So thank you all for watching this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe down below. That helps me a lot, big time. Again, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.